Welcome back to MTX Automotive. I wanted to drop in and give another update. I believe this is video number 10, part 10, on a 1974 Scout II Terra. So I have the floor pans are ready to be welded in at this point. So before I welded them in, I wanted to kind of go over all the things that go into the floor pans and the steps that I take for rust protection and just general fabrication things that I do. So this is the passenger side, and I've got it laid in place. The other side is I've got it out to show you a few things, but so these they have some things that have to be considered, and mainly you have holes that must be drilled other than the just the spot welds. So for instance, right here, that's a bolt hole. It's threaded, and that's for the seat, part of the seat frame goes in there. So you can imagine, had you not taken care of that and pre-drilled that hole and then welded it in, you'd be in a mess. So and then there's also all along these pinch weld where the seal goes for the door is pre-drilled holes, screw holes, and they are for this piece, which screws into that. So it screws into the rocker panel assembly, the top of the rocker panel, and that's what holds the door seal, the rubber door seal, in place, or part of what holds it in place. And as I mentioned, those were pre-drilled, so I had to take them out, and they were rusted in place, so I had to cut them out. So all that was sticking up was just the shaft of the screw, self-tapping screw itself. And so I had to extract all those and then mark the places where they were at, drill them out, and so that's done. So this thing will go in seamlessly whenever I go back together with it. All of these things is to make the reassembly trouble-free. You want that to be as trouble-free as possible, because all the stuff's going to be finished out, and you don't want to be, having to drill and grind and all of that stuff during the reassembly process. There may be some things that you just completely space out and forget. That does happen, but you want to minimize that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Also, since I made this floor pan myself, I had to locate and find the hole for the front cab mounts, and that's what this is. So these are recessed on the factory floor pans because you don't want the bolt sticking up into your carpet. So that bolt drops into the hole like that, and gets tightened down onto the frame. So from the other side, looking from the front, looking forward, all this has been replaced. This is all the cab mount pieces on both sides were routed out, and this is a two-piece setup. This is your first upper piece, and then you have the lower piece right here. They come separately, but when they're sandwiched together, obviously you're going to spot weld them from the top. And then this piece, there was a piece like that from the factory which ties these two together. And that just strengthens the hole, because that's and then welded to the inside of the rocker panel. So that just strengthens all of that. So it's important that you put that piece, back like it came out. And you can see the other, zoom in on that just a little bit. Same thing going on over there. So I'll go to the other side where it doesn't have the pan in it. This is the pan here. This is the back side of it, and this is the piece that I made to recess the cab mount bolt. And you kind of get an idea with this off how many spot weld holes had to be, drilled out. Stuff like that takes quite a bit of time. So, and the way that I do that is it's a lot of taking the floor pan in and out to get that done. So I first lay the pan in there and mark a line against the brace that's underneath there. So I mark a line and then draw an arrow pointing toward where the spot weld holes need to be drilled. And I do that with every cross member down through there. And so once I have that line set in place, then I know where to start drilling my holes at. So then once the holes are drilled, I come in and mark each one with a yellow dot. Or any, you can use a grease pencil or a marker, or anything will work for this. And I do that on every place where there's going to be a spot weld. There's another hole there that's threaded that I had to find, locate, and drill out for the seat frame. So those were on both sides. So once I have these spots located and marked with a dot, then I come in and I will place a small piece of yellow masking tape over that, each one of them. Every one of them, all the way down, all the way along this. And at that point, I take my undercoating, and you can use, there's various different brands out there, 3M, Permatex, SEM, many different brands. I happen to use Permatex myself, but so I undercoat inside all these braces, cross members, and even in here, because once the floor pan is in place, you cannot get to this lip from the top side to rust proof it. So that must be done before you lay the floor pan and weld it into place, because it's setting like that, and you only have 3/4 of an inch worth of space here, and the only way you could get anything in there was to brush it in with with some kind of paintbrush, which would be spotty at best as far as getting that covered with any kind of protection. So it's best to do this before you put the weld the floor pan in place. Also, there's a lip right here that needs to be covered, protected, and I spray that as well. But so I spray all of that with my tape over where my spot welds are going to be at, because this stuff will not take welding over this rubberized substrate doesn't work. So you have to cover that, so you're welding onto bare metal here. And before I spray that, I will cover these places with some weldable primer of some kind. The kind I've got is from Summit Racing, I think. It's a wax-based rust preventative. And once it dries, you can weld over it, and it still protects the weld to some degree. I don't know how effective it is, but it seems to be pretty decent. and also do the inside, this cavity here, because once the floor pan is in place, this is all covered up. And so you won't have this rust proofed before you put the floor pan on. And this is a little spacer that goes in where the cab bolt drops down. And so when everything's tightened down, you're tightening up against this spacer. And I had to remove that from the old cab mount. It was rusted out, cleaned it up, and it turned out that it wasn't too far gone. But so I got that spot welded back in place, and so that's ready to go. So that's just a sampling of what all has to be. You know, that's the little tiny details that make life much easier. It takes a lot of time on the front end, but it's worth it on the back end. Also, you can't see it very well, but there's a spacer right there where the back, as a bolt goes down through there from the back side. There's a spacer right there that has to be cleaned up and tacked into place as well before that goes in, because that makes a 90-degree bend here and comes up and covers all that up once you put the floor pan in place. So, but all of this cavity in here all the way across has been treated with a rubberized undercoating as well. So you just want to do as much as you can to prevent what happened in the first place, because the factory was not very good at any of that. Didn't take much, any time at all really to do it. So yeah, so I guess I'll bring everybody back in when I get these welded in place. Once they're welded in place, the next project will be this 90-degree piece that will weld to the floor of the bed, and then it tack welds to the front of this center cross member. And that's what the bulkhead that is leaning over there, that's what it bolts to, and then goes to the side of the bed, so which is right behind the seat. That'll have to be fitted and bolted into place to make sure the width and the gap is right for these bed sides. And after that, then the quarter panels will go into place. I've got this clamped into place, so you can kind of see what that looks like. Obviously, the quarter panel welds to the bottom side of this arch. And yeah, so all in a day's work. And I'm trying to see, 13 minutes now, so I went a little bit over, but anyway, I'll bring you back in on another video when I get these floor pans welded into place. Goodbye.